Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a concept that is literally going to level up your leadership game. We're talking about silence. Yeah, silence. The secret weapon of leaders. You know, when you picture that classic, archetypal executive, maybe from a movie or honestly maybe from your own office right now, what are they doing? They're usually pacing the boardroom, right? Dominating the conversation, firing off directives, basically making sure everyone in a 5-mile radius knows they're in charge, just by sheer volume. We've all been conditioned to think that leadership equals taking up all the sonic space in the room. But what if we flipped that? Today we're going to explore how weaponizing quietness, using it as a really deliberate strategic tool, can completely transform the way you operate. If you want to elevate how you lead, well actually, it starts with what you don't say. It's all about stripping away that noise to find where the real influence actually lies.
And that brings us to the core paradox of this whole concept. Sometimes saying nothing says everything. It's wild, right? Because, like we just talked about, we naturally associate leadership with volume. The instinct is almost always to fill a room with words, to have the immediate answer, to be the loudest voice at the table, driving the agenda at breakneck speed. In modern corporate culture, silence is so often misconstrued as a lack of knowledge, or worse, a lack of confidence. Like, if you aren't speaking, you aren't contributing. But the material we're digging into today flips that entirely on its head. The ultimate secret to true leadership is actually found right in this paradox. Stepping back and just being silent communicates confidence, space, and authority in a way that an endless stream of words literally never could. Think about it. The person who speaks the least, they almost always hold the most gravity when they finally do open their mouth. Their silence acts as this incredible filter, separating just the everyday noise from the truly valuable insights.
So, how do we actually do this? Let's get into part 1, how to practice silence. Because deploying this tool isn't just about biting your tongue, it's a highly deliberate action.
You can completely shift the dynamic of your meetings by slowing down and deploying 3 precise steps. Step 1, pause. Step 2, let the room breathe. And step 3, listen deeply. Let's actually break down what this feels like in a high-stakes environment. Imagine you've just been handed a massive, complex problem by your team. Everyone is staring at you, right? Just waiting for the oracle to speak. Step 1 requires you to simply stop. Before you lay out your grand strategy or react to the panic in the room, just pause, hold the moment. And that leads right into step 2, let the room breathe. Think about how incredibly tense a conference room gets when everyone's fighting to talk, or when they're all nervously waiting for the boss's decree. By staying quiet, you act like a pressure valve. You literally suck the nervous tension right out of the room and hand that conversational space back to your team. People naturally want to fill a void, so by letting the room breathe, you're actually inviting others to step up. And then step 3, listen deeply. Now this isn't passive. You aren't just sitting there waiting for your turn to speak, mentally rehearsing your next brilliant point. No, you're shifting your entire mindset to one of profound receptivity. You're actively gathering data, making yourself an absolute sponge for the dynamics playing out right in front of you.
And when you hit that crucial third step of deep listening, you need to actively direct your focus toward 3 specific targets: your team, your gut, and the silence itself. First up, listen to your team. But don't just hear the words they're saying. What are they implying? What's their body language screaming at you? Who's holding back and who's dominating the table? You can only decode those really subtle dynamics when you aren't the one taking up all the airspace. Second, listen to your gut. What is your own intuition actually telling you? Look, when we're constantly talking, our brains are completely maxed out on speech production and maintaining our own narrative. We completely drown out our internal compass. Getting quiet gives your instincts the microphone for a change. And third, and honestly, this is the most fascinating one to me, listen to the silence itself. It's not just empty space. The quiet in a room almost always holds its own weight. It holds unspoken tension, unasked questions, maybe even brewing ideas that people are just a little too timid to voice right out of the gate. Does the silence feel comfortable and reflective, or is it heavy and anxious? By tuning into all 3 of these targets, you're gathering a wealth of critical data that a talkative, loud leader would completely miss.
And by stepping back and doing all of this, by letting the room truly breathe, you create the exact environmental conditions required for this next phenomenon. Insight hits in the quiet moments. Our brains are these incredible processing machines, right? But they need space to actually connect the dots. Continuous talking just acts as cognitive interference. It's like trying to perfectly tune a radio while someone is blasting an air horn right next to your ear. You're never going to find the clear channel. Breakthroughs and eureka moments, they don't usually happen when everyone is talking over each other, aggressively debating the tiny details of some spreadsheet. No, they happen in the gaps. They happen on the drive home, in the shower, or in a professional setting during those very intentional pauses that you create. When a leader provides that necessary quiet space, it allows a fragile new idea to form.
to be internally processed by the team, and finally, to be spoken out loud without the fear of immediately being shouted down. You're essentially turning down the static so the actual signal can come through loud and clear.
Okay, moving on to section 2, the payoff of quiet. Because embracing this methodology isn't just some nice philosophical exercise. It delivers a massive, tangible return on investment for your leadership. Let's look at the results.
Leaders who actually embrace silence see a cascading series of benefits that fundamentally alter their organization. They make smarter decisions, they inspire trust, and they lead stronger teams. Let's break down the cause and effect here. First, smarter decisions. This is the direct result of that deep listening we just talked about. Because you took the time to listen to the nuanced dynamics of your team and tuned into your own unfiltered intuition, you just have better, more comprehensive information at your fingertips. You aren't just reacting anymore, you are calculating. Second, because you're creating space for others, you naturally inspire trust. Think about a time you work for a boss who truly listened to you. Someone who let your ideas breathe without instantly jumping in to correct you or talk over you. That makes a team member feel deeply valued. It builds immense loyalty. You're moving from a dictator to a facilitator. And third, all of this naturally means you lead stronger teams. A team that operates in an environment where ideas have room to breathe, where they know the leader values their input way more than their own ego, that team is inherently more robust. They become more innovative, more self-reliant, and just far more resilient than a team that's simply sitting around waiting for top-down dictation. The real strength of the team actually grows in those quiet spaces you provide.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this incredible realization. Real power often speaks loudest in silence. It's a completely counterintuitive truth, I know, but once you embrace it, it changes everything about how you manage people and navigate complex situations. So I want you to reconsider your own approach. Next time you're sitting at the head of that boardroom table, or maybe leading a really tense virtual call, and you feel that overwhelming, familiar urge to just fill the room with your words, to fix the problem instantly with your voice, will you stop? Will you pause, let the room breathe, and let true leadership take over? Next time you're tempted to fill the room with words, will you let power speak in silence?